Welcome to another Demarcation Media Mega Construx review. We are back with some more of Flustered's customs. We've got a little lineup here. Got some Halo, we have some Resident Evil, and we have some Star Wars in here. So let's go ahead and jump in, starting with that CQB. The CQB armor is not one that we've seen come back to new articulation. It was around for the old articulation days, and Mega just hasn't brought it back. It was an option for the fan vote for the Halo Heroes, but unfortunately it was not picked. I was Team CQB all the way. I did not vote for Haunted at all. I just voted for CQB. And unfortunately, we are still waiting. In the meantime, though, we have this custom. And first of all, he's got a weapon that looks like, if I remember correctly, this is a rec pack weapon. And it looks like Flustered has given it a wash, which looks pretty nice. Doing a wash on white is always hard to actually do right. And then the figure itself looks really good. First of all, black visor. Very, very interesting. We don't often see that. Looks good. I believe this is one of LS3D's pieces. And it looks just so fantastic. I love how CQB looks. It has just a very, very sci-fi vibe to it. And then the color balancing is great too. I really am liking this red. It's not quite pink and it's not quite red. I guess you could call it lightish red. So that's pretty cool. The chest is done really nicely. Lots of sculpt work on there. The shoulders, I'm honestly not sure if the shoulders are 3D prints or not. They look like they probably are. The forearms look like they were normal Mega forearms that were like kind of shaved down. And it looks like, unfortunately, there's a little bit of chipping on the elbows just because that's how these things go. The waist unit looks like a 3D print as well. That's fantastic. Mega actually has done a new waist unit that looks like this. So that's really cool. And then the legs are that of like the Infinite Chief, which they really should be used for Halo 2 and 3 Chief, but Mega never does that. So you got some lights. You can see the black on there. I read something in Flustered's post about this guy that he was like having a hard time getting the texturing of the paint right. And you can see there's definitely more texture in it than usual. But the way that this armor is weathered, I think that works well. It does kind of give the impression of worn metal. So I think that's kind of a happy accident. I'd say that worked out pretty nicely. Around the back. Ooh, we've even got some more little lights around the back. Very nice. I like this a lot, and it really makes me want a official Mega CQB. I might have to track down an old articulation one just because. We'll mix it up with the themes here. So this is a guy from Resident Evil. I think his name is Hunk. I think he's a mercenary, and that's literally all I know. I know nothing about Resident Evil. Don't really plan on finding out too much. And yeah. I will say, though, this guy looks pretty darn cool. This is just a pop and swapped Call of Duty gun because Call of Duty guns allowed you to do that. And then he's got like his gas mask going on with the helmet over top. That looks really nice. I don't know if that's an official like Call of Duty piece or if Flustered modified it, just because I'm not super familiar with all of the different parts available from Call of Duty. Pretty darn sure that harness is at least partially custom though. There's a lot of paintwork on there. Little tiny like wires and stuff too. Even the buckles are painted, so that looks really cool. The symbol on his shoulder, I believe, is custom molded as well. And he's using the knee pad pieces as like elbow pads, so I think that's pretty clever. Those are official Mega pieces, but I think that's a very clever use. Oh, interesting. So he's also got a radio attached back here. Does not look removable, but he's painted all the little details on there, which is pretty cool. There's all the buttons and everything. Wait, I gotta look at this up close. There's even like the hint of words on there too. I'm not totally sure how he would grab that, to be honest. That would be a bit of a pain, but you can see the blue strap there. Got a bit of a fanny pack going on. Got pouches here on both sides. And then his legs are just kind of brown. I don't know if those are painted. Yeah, no, they are, because there's a little bit of like brushing on them. So yeah, like I said, don't really know much about this character other than that he looks super ominous. I think Flustered had him called the Grim Reaper. Again, zero context here. Oh, hey, look, there's even more markings on this shoulder. I didn't notice that. Zero context, but out of context, this guy looks pretty cool. And he's giving me vibes of like the Acid Rain figures, that sort of thing. That's pretty cool. Makes me want more gas mask figures. Hopping back over to Halo, we have the exotic ODST. And this is an absolutely just wacky and off-the-wall custom. I mean, look at this. This is kind of hilarious, actually. So that's LS3D's Halo 2 ODST helmet. This guy's armed with another Rec Pack weapon, looks like, so I'm just going to pop that off. And then he's got like zebra print legs and partial lower undersuit. Got some pouches up on the front. I really love what's going on with the chest plate, though. It's like a gray, but with a blue undertone. You can see some stripes here. That looks super cool. I love that color pairing. We have the same kind of teal for the visor, and then like a cheetah print helmet, which is just absolutely nuts looking, and then a bit of a gradient for the backpack. You can see the bottom starts out as blue, and we have a little bit of orange as we move up. That is just wild. That's an absolutely wild custom. And just to put this into perspective a little bit, I also have Flustered's like normal Halo 2 anniversary ODST. Look at the difference. That's crazy. That is very, very funny. This is definitely like not my normal style. Like, I don't know. This is not the kind of thing I would see and go, oh, wow, I really want to take a closer look at that. But looking at this up close, it's really hilarious and also really well done because, I mean, look at this. He had to do all of that by hand. Like, all of it. All of it is done by hand. So even though it looks just over the top goofy, a lot of work went into this. Honestly, probably as much work, if not more work, than the normal one. That's wild. Absolutely wild. And very, very unique. I don't think you'll find an ODST like this anywhere else. And here we get a little look at what it would be like to have Star Wars Mega Construx. So this is a 3/32 Clone Trooper done using Mega parts, and then LS3D's Stormtrooper helmet. So it's technically not a Clone Trooper, just based on the helmet, but I don't think LS3D has done clone gear yet. Although LS3D, if you're watching this video, clone gear would be a great idea. So Flustered has taken this and painted it up to look like 3/32 Trooper. The helmet looks really good. There's a little ding on the lower mouth and on the black on either side. But that kind of works because the way that these helmets are, they get dinged up in battle all the time. There's a black kind of wash over it as well. So, I don't know, dings look less bad on like Clone and Stormtrooper helmets just because that's how they look in the films. We got the 501st stripe down the middle, which is fantastic. Blue shoulder pads, white on the hands, more paint around the back. This has been through battle for sure. You can see more detail on the back of the helmet. See more here. He's got the stripe on the side of the leg, which is very good. He has the one knee pad because that's, I guess, just how this was. This was Hunter lower legs, so that was just kind of how the Hunters were. And then his gun is a railgun, and it's got a bunch of light detailing on it. I think that was a pretty good choice. So now, actually, what I want to do is I want to get this next to a couple other 3/32 Troopers. So there is the Black Series 3/32 Trooper next to this custom. And this is a custom figure in of itself. This came all clean and kind of too clean looking. And then the helmet had a gray visor for some reason and no weathering. So I weathered them all up. So now these guys kind of are comparable. Looks pretty nice. I love the shade of orange that Flustered chose for this. It's a little bit closer to like the pinker color of like the CQB. I think that looks really nice. And it looks even nicer when you put it alongside this minifigure, which this is one of my favorite clone minifigures. But the orange just, I like the darker orange a lot. A lot. Like, we actually have kind of a scale here. So we have really light orange, darker orange, darkest orange. And I like that. I like that a lot. Actually, let's look at that head up close real quick. There we go. You can see the head a little better. It's painted up very well. The eyes are done perfectly. No overspill. The little V mouth is done well. I always kind of, like every time I've seen LS3D's Stormtrooper piece, I really love how it looks. The neck is a little tall to me and a little awkward, and it kind of limits posing options. But for the armor that he uses here, armor that Flustered uses here, this is the Flame Marine armor, Halo Wars Flame Marine armor. And so the longer neck works on this, and so it makes a lot of sense. And works out pretty well. I kind of wish... See, I really do like LEGO Star Wars. I have a lot of LEGO clones, and I do love how they look, but the idea of having tiny little Star Wars action figures is so cool. I would collect so many clones, it would not even be funny. Here is another Resident Evil character. This guy's name is Leon, and I think he's one of the main characters. Aside from that, I don't know much. But Flustered has done a really good job, particularly on like the hair. I think that looks pretty cool. He's got a knife up here. That's definitely a custom part. He's got, looks like a couple of shotgun shells over here. The skin tone is painted really nicely. Skin tone is a hard thing to get right. On this side, there is a holster. I believe that's an official Mega part, but I'm not sure. A little molded canteen. He's got like straps that make me think of like Maze Runner, but those go around and have pouches on the sides. And then he's got very nicely painted pants and boots. So at first glance, you know, it's a fairly simple, I do quotation marks there because doing the head is never simple. But Flustered also went and made a like leather and fur jacket and fingerless gloves for him. So that's pretty cool. The collar's done super well. I don't want to try and switch it though because switching custom parts is a little scary. But it covers even the back. I think that's really nicely done. And then, as another add-on, he did this, which I know this has something to do in the game. I don't really understand it. It's like he lost half his shirt, but he's still got all the harness and everything. And he's got shorter sleeves. And he's got a kind of a tattoo on the back. Again, those of you who know the game will understand this. I do not. However, what I do understand is he has shaved down the elbow to make sure that it can move without scratching the skin. So that is really fantastic. Also, this one uses the Halo system, whereas these use Call of Duty. And the Halo hands just in general are a little bit more reliable. So I think that's a win. And last but not least, we have the Arbiter himself. Now, this version is from Halo Infinite. We had concept art showing what Arbiter would have looked like if he was in Halo Infinite. And essentially, he's the same as Halo 5, which personally, I think he looks awesome in Halo 5. I think it was a great kind of progression of his character. Basically going from a no-name elite. Well, not really no-name. He did command ships. And he was a little bit important, but then he failed and was essentially going to be killed. And then he became what was basically the elite's king. So I think that was super cool. But we got a cloak. That's kind of what made this the Halo Infinite version, was the cloak. And the first thing that struck me about this custom is the shade of gold. It's just perfect. It's a little bit bronzy, a little warm. It's just a really, really satisfying color. It's perfect. I love this color. It is very, very nice. The closest thing we have in Mega form is this gold. And I liked this gold. I still like this gold, but it looks cheap next to the rich tones of this. So huge props to Flustered for choosing this color. I don't know if he mixed it up himself or if he used a pre-mixed one or what. Either way, it was a great choice. We have the little stripe going down, and the hand even has armor on the back of it, which is great. We have more of like the white stripes on the legs. We have a bit of both on the head. It's really good. He's got tattoos kind of on his arm. Really dark skin tone. You can see there's black on both the sections of armor on his leg. He has a, I believe this is a 3D printed piece. It looks 3D printed. The Prophet's Bane. I think this was one of those 3D printers from Mexico, but I'm not sure. But Flustered painted it with a perfect gradient. So that's super cool. It's sad that Mega's never made an official Prophet's Bane, because that would be pretty cool. It would require one piece, one brand new piece, and it would only be able to be used for Arbiter, really. And then we have the cape. This is from a Destiny Fallen Captain. That's why it's so long. And I believe that's a custom painted symbol. I don't actually know what that symbol means. Is that the Sangheili symbol? Somebody tell me in the comments. I don't remember seeing that in Halo 5, but that might have just been because I'm not paying attention. Yeah, this is fantastic. Let me just drop in a Spartan next to him so you can kind of see. Obviously a little smaller than he would be in game, but I gotta say this is probably my favorite custom out of the bunch. It's just such a cool design for Arbiter, and Flustered has done him perfect justice here. Well, there you have it. Flustered's work just continues to impress. Every time I have a ton of fun looking at these. It's just, his quality is just going up and up and up. And his creativity too. I mean, look at this. That is really wacky, and you would not see a lot of other customizers doing something like that. So really, really well done. I love seeing him use LS3D's parts as well. He just uses them to such great effect. And while I don't understand the Resident Evil customs, they still always just look really good. And the swappable parts for custom figures, I think, is a fantastic idea. I love that. So yeah, huge thank you to Flustered for sending these along to review. I will put the link to his Instagram in the description and in the pinned comment, as always. I highly recommend you go check out his stuff. He sells off some of these figures from time to time, so if you want to get any, keep an eye on that, or just contact him and ask him if he has any for sale. And yeah, definitely go do that, because they're pretty cool figures. I own some of them, like this one. Fantastic, which I really need to get this guy into some photos. I have not yet, and that's kind of a shame. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and consider subscribing, and I'll see you next time.